Hello, it's time to finish up the block. So let's do Unit 9, using your photographs. Go ahead and find the test. Right click, open that in a new window. Get that started. Size it down so you can see test questions. Scroll bar. And then head back to the unit introduction and start that. Size that one down. And let's get started. I'm going to read the first question. When you send a photograph by email, it should be displayed in the local image viewer by link, photo editing software by link, email reader window, or default file manager by default. Using your photographs intro. Before digital imaging, if you wanted to share your photos with family and friends, you handed them a stack of prints. If they lived far away, you select a few of the good ones, put them into an envelope, and paid the extra postage. If your photographs just sit on your hard drive or in your archive, they are nothing more than files. They are nothing more than collections of bits and bytes taking up space. With digital imaging, there are all kinds of options for sharing your photographs. Photos are designed to be used and shared with others. You can use them in reports you do for school. You can use them in letters and emails you write. You can use them in your portable media player. There are all kinds of photo sharing sites online where you can post your images for family and friends to see. With just a couple of mouse clicks, you can keep your photographs updated for all to see. Using your work. Introduction. You get an email from a friend, and there's a photograph in it. It's a photograph of her and her new puppy. You open the email, and there's the photograph. But there's a problem, a big problem. The photograph is so large you can only see a part of the image. You try to scroll through the image, but you really don't get a sense of what is going on. You can't see the photograph all at once. Disgusted, you close the email. The problem is that the image wasn't prepared properly for use in an email. Email isn't the only place where you can run into these kinds of problems. Just because you have the images doesn't mean they will work in all situations. You really need to prepare your images for a given use. So let's take a look at these uses and how to prepare your images. These objectives. Explain why you need to prepare images for a given use. Identify the steps in preparing an image for a given use. Apply the preparation necessary for a given use of an image. Photojournalism. View the slideshow for an introduction to personal photojournalism.
Days of the Internet, developers saw it primarily as a way for scientists to exchange information. They never dreamed it would be as widespread as it is, or how easy it would be for the average user to get material online. They just never dreamed that the Internet would develop as fast or as far. This development has given rise to a whole new era of journalism, personal photojournalism. While we think of a journalist as someone who works for a magazine or newspaper, anyone who writes and then publishes their work is a journalist. There is a difference between a professional and a personal journalist, however. Personal photojournalists document their lives in both photographs and words posted to websites. They photograph the important stuff in their lives. This can include the family, holiday gatherings, vacations, and movies. They also photograph the day in and day out stuff. They document the Little League games, snowmen, school awards, and Girl Scout outings. Some use their digital cameras, but others use the cameras in their cell phones or PDAs. The key in personal photojournalism is to strike a balance. Only use the photographs that document the event, and write only enough to fill in the gaps the photographs miss. The idea is to keep it short and to the point. Using dozens of images or writing pages will only make it difficult for whoever is looking at your work to wade through. even if they are family or friends who are really interested. So where do you go if you want to get involved in this? With the continued development of both the Internet and personal photojournalism, it was only natural the two would meet. They have met in the blog or weblog. There are a number of free weblog sites that you can use. You can create your blog, upload your images, add your text, and publish it. The goal of personal photojournalism is simply to share, the way you would with a friend. But you need to be very careful about what you post. You don't want to publicly post anything that can identify you to the point that someone could use your identity. Don't post your social security number or your phone number. Don't post your address or the name of your school. Even if you go to school online, don't publish your friend's full name. The bad guys can get all kinds of information, but only if you give it to them.
Preparing images for email. Sending photographs is one of the most popular uses for email. You can include 2 or 3 photos, but you have to prepare them. Emailed images need to be reduced in size. This has to be done for 2 reasons. First, large photographs take a long time to download, especially for people who have slower network connections. The second reason is so the person you are sending them to can see them totally within the window where they read their email. The image here shows an image totally within an email window. To prepare images for email, you need to scale them to a size that will fit in the reading window. This is generally no wider than 500 pixels for images in landscape mode. For images in portrait mode, they should be no higher than 375 pixels. This may seem to be really small when you are preparing them. You have to remember that most people's email reading window is about 500 pixels wide and about 400 pixels high. You don't want to make them scroll through the image. That really gets in the way of understanding what the image is all about. Preparing images for the web. Let's check to see if we answered the question. When sending a photograph by email, it should be displayed in the email reader window. Ding! Question 2. The maximum dimensions for an image prepared for email is, what was it? 500 by 375? Let's just go ahead and take a quick check and make sure that we have that right. 500 by 400. So yes, 500 by 375. Question 3. One of the reasons you need to scale images for email is many service providers prevent large images from passing through their systems to reduce the file size of the image and shorten download times. To standardize file size and the load on the frame relay system, most email clients consider large files to be spam. Well, it's just to reduce it so that it doesn't take so long to download. Question 4, when preparing an image for web display, here we go. So there are a lot of photo sharing sites on the internet, the vast majority being sites where you can upload your photos free of charge. You can give friends and family the address of the website so they can check out your work. But even though a number of these sites say you can upload any size image, you really need to do some prep work. To prepare images for use on the web, they will have to be scaled. If the image is in landscape mode, it should be no wider than 800 pixels and no higher than 600 pixels. In portrait mode, it should be no larger than 450 pixels wide and 600 pixels high. Your image will look a whole lot better if you take the time to make sure they are properly scaled and, if needed, have had color corrections. Yes, always adjust your brightness and contrast, right? So let's see if we answer the question. When preparing an image for web display, it must be in landscape, must be in portrait, must be square, can be either landscape or portrait. An image in landscape mode used for display on the web should have a width no more than 600. Let's see, what does it say? Width or wider, no more wider than 800 and no more higher than 600. So that one wasn't it. A width no more than 800. Ding. All right, so that was the answer. Question 6. A program like PowerPoint will allow you to, let's find out. Preparing images for electronic presentation. Electronic presentations include programs such as PowerPoints. With PowerPoints, you create a number of slides which can have text, graphics, photographs, or other elements. Using PowerPoint can also make slideshows of your work. Just put one image on either slide and it will run on any computer with the program. Unlike email or web presentation, you don't have to size your images exactly. PowerPoint allows you to scale an image after it is placed on the slide. Although this is a convenient feature, the image you start with should be no more than 800 pixels wide by 600 pixels high in the landscape mode. If your images are in portrait mode, they should be no more than 450 pixels wide and 600 pixels high. The other thing you should know about PowerPoint is that it does have brightness and contrast adjustments if you need to fine-tune your images. This feature is in the picture dialog. The other thing you should do, if needed, is correct any color problems. This could include color casts, etc. Program like PowerPoint allows you to prepare your images for internet display, prepare your images for email, create a slideshow of your images. Ding! Unlike images prepared for the web or email, PowerPoint allows you to resize your images after they are inserted. Automatically resizes your images, uses dynamic resizing, restricts the size of the display. So it allows you to resize your images. Self-check activity. All right, maximum dimensions for an image included in an email. All right, so that was D, 500 by 375. Remember that viewing window was 500 by 400. Maximum dimensions for an image to be used on the internet, 800 by 600. E. Program you can use to create slideshows of your images, PowerPoint. A. In black and white photography, we are interested in, well, this is a review, tones, remember? After scaling an image, it must be sharpened. Nice job. Images for print. Let's look at our next question. A good starting point for sizing images for use on programs like PowerPoint is 800 by 600. PowerPoint is 800 pixels by 600 pixels. Programs like PowerPoint offer brightness and contrast so you can make minor adjustments. And to insert an image into a word processing document, let's find out. Using images for print. In the mid-1980s, the personal computer entered the publishing world. Expensive computers that were used only to publish magazines and newspapers were replaced by personal computers. The personal computers could do more and do it faster. They also cut down the time needed to get photographs into the publications. Images could be dropped into a page electronically. This revolution was called desktop publishing. Today, almost any computer can be used for desktop publishing. With all of the powerful software that is available, these techniques can be applied to almost anything that is printed. You can insert photographs into letters you send to family members who may not have a computer. You don't have to wait for the images to be printed at the lab. You can insert photographs directly into school reports, etc., and it's not as hard as it sounds. Preparing images for reports, letters, etc. All modern word processors have ways to put images into whatever you are writing. Simply put the cursor where you want the image and use the Insert Picture function. This is usually found under the Insert menu. A selection window will pop up. You select the image you want to insert and it goes into your paper or letter. You guys, nowadays we just right-click and paste, right? To insert an image into a word processing document, put the cursor where you want the image in the document and use the Insert utility. All right, just like in PowerPoint, you can adjust the size of the image after they are inserted, but you really need to do some work before they ever get there. They should be scaled down first. In printing, however, the dimensions are a little more generous. For an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, you can start with a width of 1200 pixels in landscape mode. For an image in portrait mode, a width of 500 or 600 pixels is more sufficient. When you insert the image in the page, you will more than likely have to adjust the size. You resize the image by first selecting it, then grab one of the corner handles by clicking on it and holding down the mouse button. Hold the Shift key down to preserve the aspect ratio, and you can drag the image to the size you want without skewing it. You know how sometimes it'll get skewed and it will look stretched out or flattened. That's what the shift key will do. You will also need to turn the wrapping feature on so your text can wrap around the image. So it says right here, to resize an image in a word processing document, hold down which key to preserve the aspect ratio and use the corner handle to resize? Shift. Okay, the maximum dimensions for an image prepared for email is 500 by 375. One of the reasons you need to scale images for an email is to reduce the size of the image and shorten the download time. When preparing an image for web display, it can be in either landscape or portrait mode. A program like PowerPoint will allow you to create a slideshow of your images. Programs like PowerPoint offer brightness and contrast so that you can make minor adjustments. When you send a photograph by email, it should be displayed in the email reader window. Unlike images prepared for the web or email, PowerPoint allows you to size the images after they've been inserted. A good starting size for images in programs like PowerPoint is 800 by 600. Personal photojournalism has evolved by using what kinds of sites to publish images? I'm going with blog. All right, and that means that last question, personal photojournalism has evolved to use blogs. There we go. You can save all of your responses and submit those. Let's keep going though and just make sure that we've mastered all of the objectives. An image in Inkscape mode used for display on the web should have, or an image in landscape mode, should have a width no more than 600. Let's see. Does that sound about right? Or was it 800? Ooh, can you remember for sure? I'm going with 6. It's for the web. Maybe it's 8. Ooh, I got it. 800. To resize an image in word processing document, hold down the shift key to preserve the aspect ratio, meaning you don't want it to get skewed. You want to maintain the aspect ratio. To insert an image into a word processing document, use the insert function. Oh, put the cursor where you want it, and then use the insert utility. All right, good job. Sweet. Oh, and that was it. We did it. Bravo. Bravo. Good job, everybody. Happy end of the block. Woo! You finished all your digital photo units. I'm so proud of you. Fireworks going off. Shoom, shoom.